You're listening to Middle-Aged Movie Reviews.
Hello, welcome to Middle-Aged Movies Podcast. Three guys saying, hey man, mellow out, man. My name is Tim, and my podcasting partners are...
Maui Wowie Matt.
Dungeon Master Rick.
All right, Rick, what movie are we watching at the Man's Chinese Theater this evening?
Tonight we are watching Up in Smoke, number 634, from a book of 1001 movies you should watch before you die. Written by Tommy Chong and Cheech Marin, directed by Lou Adler and Tommy Chong, and starring Cheech Marin, Tommy Chong, and Stacy Keach.
All right, well, thanks, Rick. You know, it really doesn't make sense to review a Cheech and Chong film without getting a little, I don't know, wacky or maybe a little inebriated. So tonight, gentlemen, for the first time ever on the Middle-Aged Movie Reviews podcast, we are going to imbibe while we review this film.
Oh,
it's about to get crazy up in here.
All right, man.
We'll do a little game of it. You know, much like the MCU, we're going to take a page out of their book, and if you say specific words, you have to drink.
Oh, man, that's far out, man. What are the words?
Tonight, if you say the name Pedro.
I know that guy, man.
You say the name man.
Hey, that's me, man.
That's going to be a tough one.
Or if you use the term comedy or stoner comedy.
Ooh, stoner.
Oh, man, is it stoner comedy, man, or is it just like comedy and like stoner?
Are they separated? Are they stoner and comedy?
Stoner and comedy.
Oh, fuck you, man.
Shit.
All right.
Everyone is about to get crazy.
Well, you know, Rick, since you're talking about getting crazy, I have to say, Up in Smoke, it kind of makes a decent title, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem to, like, roll off that tongue right. Like, what do you think, man?
Uh-oh.
Oh, man, dude, that was foul, man. You can't be doing that. Oh, crap, I did myself 2 drinks.
All right, so I do.
Hang on, I only see Matt do 1 drink, man. Oh, shit, now we got to do 2 more.
It's about to get crazy here real quick. Especially after I say my anime title. Because, and by the way, I got my anime title before Matt even introduced this other word, all these words here. So, if I was naming Up in Smoke, I would actually have named it with an anime title. That would sound something like two stoners meet a former band. 2 stoners.
Hey, man, you're not good. You're totally like, man, that ain't cool. Knock it off, man.
Make a band, and try to get high while smuggling a car made of weed that they don't even know about. And there you go. I'm opening this sucker up. And just so you guys know how into this I am literally drinking the Cheech and Chong's high and dry drink. It is official Cheech and Chong drink right here.
Oh,
very nice. Very nice.
Nice. That's far out, man.
Are we at 3, 4, 5 now?
Yeah, 5. All right, everybody drink up.
Shit. I'm not gonna make it.
Oh man, we haven't even gotten to the synopsis yet.
Ah, you said it again, man. Oh, damn it.
Oh, damn.
Man, I gotta fill my glass.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, while Tim is currently filling his glass up, I have to ask then, Rick, when was the first time you saw this film, Up in Smoke? Or, as you had said, the inebriated characters who go out to Mexico, and I can't remember what you just said. So, yeah. When was the first time you watched this film?
Yes. So I don't actually remember when I seen this, which probably tells you the state I was in when I watched it. But I know that I was a lot younger. Probably, I don't know, maybe like around early 20s or something like that, and maybe even late teens possibly. It is, I'm going to just go ahead and say it. It's a stoner movie, you know what I'm saying? So,
Oh, man.
and it's one of those things where, you know, you hear about it and you're like, oh, what's this movie? You know, obviously you kind of have an idea what it's about. It's very, well known in that type of like culture, I suppose, maybe you say.
The counterculture?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how about you, Tim? When was the first time you watched Up in Smoke?
Well, this one's up in the air.
No, that's a different movie. That's with George Clooney. That's a completely different movie.
Right.
He's like, it's up in the air. Well, that's what happens when people smoke.
Yeah. It's on the exhale, man. I've channeled that character far too much already. I listened to a lot of their albums back in the 80s, for sure, and 90s. And I know I have seen some of their films. The one that comes to mind more than any other one is the Corsican Brothers. I don't remember if I actually ever watched this one until probably the last year and a half. I actually came upon a treasure trove of Cheech and Chong movies at a garage sale and picked them all up. And I remember I watched this one the first time probably about a year ago. So for this podcast, it is my second viewing. The overall Cheech and Chong universe, I have dabbled in quite a bit over the years as far as all their media, albums and movies and so forth.
Nice.
Yeah, man. The Corsican Brothers was pretty cool. Matt, did you ever see that one?
I've seen bits and pieces of it, like when it was on like MeTV or something.
Yeah, it's a great concept. It's a fun concept.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun movie.
It definitely steps away from the standard Cheech and Chong stoners movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the first time. Oh, dang, man. Yeah, it was the movie that Cheech was like, I want to do something other than a movie about weed. So they wrote that as, a movie that would be outside of their normal, shtick.
Well, gentlemen, as we all know, humor is subjective. And I have never seen this movie before.
Oh, boy. Oh.
I grew up watching comedies with like Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, John Candy. I wasn't really introduced to the stoner films until...
you suck.
Bro, that's actually 2 because you said the C word.
Oh, okay.
Nah, you just drank one time. 2, Matthew. I'm counting. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Matthew will become far more entertaining as the night goes along when he can barely talk.
Yeah. So I hadn't really watched a lot of these films until I was well into my late teens, maybe my early 20s. Even today, I find some of the jokes a little too sophomoric. Maybe I'm too highbrow. I don't know. I mean, I've heard the bits from the Cheech and Chong albums, but the films are another like white space for me. So this was actually my first time watching the film from start to finish. So I hope that I bring a fair assessment in my opinions of this discussion. If not, well, I'll just have some fun drinking and talking about this film. You stoners.
Oh, you suck! Ah! Well, and I guess we should probably, since, Rick has said what he's partaking in, I would just let everybody know I personally am having my usual. I've got the 94 proof Kraken dark spice rum that I am drinking this evening. Yeah, so the more you make me drink, the more interesting this is going to get for sure. Matthew, what are you partaking in?
Well, this evening I am tapping into that culture that I love so much, and I've gone Irish as I normally do. And tonight,
always.
Tonight I'm drinking Proper 12, the Conor McGregor Irish whiskey, along with the wonderful Diet Pepsi mixer.
You know something that's like actually pretty damn cool? It seems like every single time we review a movie, almost. I mean, there's a few movies out there that all three of us have seen, but there's a few of them. There's a number of them out there that all of three of us haven't actually seen. You know what I mean? Like 2 have seen, but 1 have not. So it does actually add a little bit to what we got going on with regard to our perspectives. In this particular case, it seems like we got a very good mix-up. We've got seen a couple times, starting a year ago, seen recently, first time, and I've probably seen this thing like a bunch of times, man. Oh, shit.
You said it.
Wait, what did he say?
I can't say it.
The M word.
The M word.
Tommy Chong's character. He said Tommy Chong's character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think what also makes it interesting is that when I was introduced to Cheech and Chong in the 80s, my mindset is very different now at 2026. And I think that's going to make Matt's commentary more interesting because let's face it, Rick, when you were introduced to Cheech and Chong, and especially this movie, you were very young and impressionable, I'm assuming, correct?
I would definitely classify myself as the S word.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And I would say that Matt's going to critique it from a movie standpoint, and that's a hard thing to do purely as a movie critic and not from a youthful perspective. Let's just say it that way.
Yes.
I know when I watch this, I watch this, I'm like, really? So I have some ideas on that too, since that I watched it much later in life, but I also have the introduction of it much earlier in my life. So I think I'm going to skirt that line as well between how I remember it being back in the day and how I would think about it today as a movie critic. So it's going to be an interesting discussion, I think. And even more so as we become far more inebriated as we go along.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna say this is going to be an interesting conversation about Up in Smoke. I think we're going to momentarily suspend the game for the synopsis, or else we won't get this finished.
That's probably a good position to take.
Yes.
This will be our shortest review ever.
So, with that being said, Tim, as our resident police sergeant, what are you going to request for the synopsis tonight?
Okay, Matthew. Well, as you may remember, quite some time ago in our Wayback Machine, it's like I got no other way to say it. Let me pull it up here. We might have done another little stoner movie called Clerks. And we did a wonderful Jay and Silent Bob tribute to the modern day stoner on that one, where we performed a Jay and Silent Bob skit. And I think there's no way that we can do this one without giving it the same treatment. So tonight, I would like to play the role of Tommy Chong's The Man. If one of you will take on the role of Pedro as we present the synopsis in the form of a modified version of Cheech and Chong's famous sketch, Dave. Now, are one of you two willing to do this?
Let me just start off by saying, I don't think Pedro sounds like an Irishman. So, I am willing to step away from the mic and let our wonderful Dungeon Master take the lead as Cheech Marin.
Hey, man, I could do anything and walk away, man.
Oh, shit, it's like we're right in the room with Cheech. Oh, yeah, I think you are correct. We have a winner. Are you ready, sir?
All right, I'm about to do my Juilliard turn. And then
all right, here we go. This is what puts us on the map. We're going to have 10,000 subscribers by the end of the week. I promise you. Who is it?
It's me, Pedro. Man. Open up, man. I got the stuff.
Who is it?
It's me, Pedro, the guy that picked you up when you were hitchhiking and we decided to start a band.
Who?
It's Pedro, man. Open up. I think Sergeant Tertinko followed me here after we got busted for smoking weed. They just got done raiding my cousin Strawberry's place after I got her lid.
Who is it?
It's Pedro, man. Will you open up? Now I think immigration's out here, too. We can't afford to get deported if we're going to get the band started and play the Battle of the Bands.
Who?
Pedro, man, open up.
Pedro?
Yeah, Pedro, man, open up. I think the cops saw me.
Pedro's not here.
No, man, I'm Pedro. Come on, open the door, will you? I was right. Immigration just pulled a bus. La Migras is everywhere.
Freeze, you chili choking pepper belly.
Man, I can't believe we're in Mexico, man. How are we going to get back to Los Angeles and play the Battle of the Bands now, man?
I called my uncle. He said that we could drive his furniture smuggling van back to the States. Man, why couldn't you just answer the door?
Hey, man, in my defense, I tried to tell that guy you weren't there.
I know, man, because it's me. I'm Pedro, man. Pedro.
Right, man. Pedro's not here.
Oh!
Very nice, gentlemen. It was like a theater of the mind.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I I felt like I was listening to CheechandChong and Cheech Marin.
There you go.
But you know
Best
what?
we could do, man. I hope they like it if they hear it.
All right. Well, after this trailer, because I want to see how well the trailer meets with your guys' wonderful audio rendition, then we're going to resume our game.
Oh, man, far out, man. Like, lay it on us, dude.
So, gentlemen.
I bet that's going to be groovy, man.
Here is the trailer.
In the 30s, Laurel and Hardy were the kings of comedy. Then, Abbott and Costello took the 40s and split their sides with laughter. The 50s went hysterical and broke up to the wild antics of Martin and Lewis. In the great tradition of these laugh masters of the past come two guys who are hysterically funny. They're Cheech and Chong, the comedy team that gave birth to rock comedy and in the process turned on a whole generation. Now it's time for the Cheech and Chong movie, Up in Smoke.
Is that a joint, man?
Go up in smoke.
They put me in the lineup and let the bright lights shine.
Watch Cheech and Chong travel to Mexico to pick up the world's first van made entirely of marijuana. For years, people have smuggled grass across the borders in every way possible.
Do you expect to see any violence here today?
I certainly hope so.
But things don't always go as planned. And even man's most heavenly plans go up in smoke.
We're getting pulled over by the cops, man.
What?
I don't have a license.
You don't have a license?
No.
What do you mean you don't have a license?
Things get even higher when the world's only grass van starts smoking on its own.
What do you guys want?
If it isn't one bust, it's another.
Oh, man, it's a cop, so Strawberry, they're on your pad, man. They're gonna bust your pad. Hey, man, hi.
What?
Hi, man, it's a bust.
What's going on?
It's a bust, man.
Hello?
Get out of the house, man. It's being busted.
All right, freeze! This is a bust! Holy.
So if you want to see the dopiest van of all time,
First gear. Here we go.
on its way to the wildest rock concert of the century, and the high of a lifetime, see Cheech and Chong, the original high riders, in Up in Smoke.
Must be some heavy.
Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. Don't go straight to see this movie.
Dude, that I'd never seen that before, dude. That was pretty cool, man. Oh,
I gotta give the guy credit. Whoever spliced that together, it's actually almost a little more coherent and well thought out than the actual movie script itself.
definitely. The segues in there are pretty fucking on the mark.
Oh, yeah. I have to admit, it's a little long. It kind of like almost shows you all the high points of the film, almost to the point where you don't need to go see it.
I disagree, man. I disagree, though. And here's why. It is like the whole journey. You know what I'm saying? From start to finish. And there's a lot of like really, really, really good one-liners in there that I really appreciate. I can't wait to talk about. But there were definitely some really good highlights, and it was for sure way long. Like, it's probably one of the longest trailers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it clocks in at like a little over 3 minutes. And what I thought was really neat is just they talk about the early comedy teams and then over that silhouette. I'm like, that's pretty clever.
But and I think that was probably why they did it, because when you watch the movie, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be where you're going to come from, watching it at 2026, if you're just watching this purely as I'm going to critique this movie, it's a hard watch because it feels somewhat incomplete. It just feels, I don't know, it feels like an unfinished script.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like a bunch of thoughts and ideas that were kind of strung together into a movie. And that's exactly what it was. I mean, these guys, they even admit they didn't have a script at all when they did this. They just took bits and pieces of their comedy, like, this will be good, this will be good, this will be good. They kind of put it in there, and then they're like, we'll figure everything else out as we go.
Yeah.
For that guy to make a trailer that's that coherent and that well strung together, to get somebody who's not going to know Cheech and Chong for the counterculture influences that they are, it's going to try to coax the rest of the audience into the theater, because otherwise you pretty much have to be engrossed into that counterculture, and you're like, oh, this is going to be great. I know what we need to do. Let's go toke it up and go watch the Cheech and Chong movie. It doesn't matter that everything's loosely put together. It just makes sense because, hey, I'm not thinking that deep anymore, because I'm just not thinking that deep while I'm watching this.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I think, the ticket right there, you know?
All right, gentlemen. Now that we are going to dive into this film, the game has now resumed.
Wow, man. All right. Drink up.
All right. So, right off the bat, we get an introduction of our two main characters, Pedro and Man.
Ah, man. Oh, there's two of them, dude. That was only one.
I have to breathe, man.
Oh my goodness, dude.
So Pedro is awoken in his family home by three young children watching TV. I have to say, I loved that Merry Melodies just popped up on the screen. I'm like, oh yeah, Merry Melodies, man.
Shit, man. We're not gonna get through this.
While Man is berated by his rich parents to do something with himself.
I believe you can use his real name, Anthony. If you remember, his parents actually call him Anthony.
Mm-hmm. The usual military school threats and such. We see Anthony has a Volkswagen Beetle with a Rolls-Royce grill strapped to it. That was pretty funny.
That was rich, man.
Especially the way they framed that to the point where you think, oh, he's going to get into a Rolls-Royce.
You know what the great part of that car is, too? Is that car is actually owned by Jack Nicholson.
Oh.
He was a huge Cheech and Chong fan, and he let them use that car for this. There was actually a real conversion kit you could buy that would allow you to put the Rolls-Royce thing in the front and the back to make it kind of look like a Rolls-Royce. So.
Holy smokes, man. I can't get away from it.
So then Cheech Marin's character leaves his home and walks over to his lowrider, and we get the opening credit sequence in a clever overlay of the car. Pedro then drives off his car and picks up what he thinks is a female hitchhiker, but it's only Anthony disguised to get a car to stop. The two are almost picked up by a patrolman on the freeway when Cheech Marin's character pulls away just as the cop car is run into by another motorist. You know, we're introduced to these characters, and we see that Pedro is almost like restless and impulsive. He's always out like searching for something. You know, he's out there and he's like looking for something cool. You know, he's looking for somebody to pick up. He's looking for chicks, and you know, he sees those surfer girls.
Surfer girls, I think you call them jailbait.
Yeah. Whereas Anthony is a little more, you know, aimless but kind of optimistic. You know, he's got that tone to him when he's talking. I want to ask one question to you, Tim. Did you notice who plays Anthony's father?
Oh yeah, it's which is oddly interesting. It's Strother Martin, who we've seen in several of the westerns that we reviewed, is his father. You know?
Yes, and Rick, do you remember the line that Strother Martin says in Cool Hand Luke?
Not in this state.
That's heavy, man.
What we got here is failure to communicate, man. But yeah, I thought it was interesting because, you know, here we've seen Strother Martin again, and you know we saw him in Cool Hand Luke, The Wild Punch, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I was like, wow, he's kind of popping up a lot in the middle-aged movie reviews podcast here.
Yeah, and it's so fitting that a guy that's that straight-laced in all those movies ends up being the father of a burnout, basically.
Yeah.
And they brought him in this movie. They're just like, just ad-lib, go at him however you want. So he ad-libbed all that stuff as he's yelling at him.
That was a really cool sequence, and I just like the fact that Anthony's just sitting there making his or his shake. Strickland just picks up a banana and says, "Yeah, you can be picking these strawberries and eventually making your way up to bananas."
I know somebody in the strawberry. It was like the strawberry union or something. I can get you started there. You work your way up to bananas.
I just like how they're just straight up being like, get a job. You're such a deadbeat. I thought that was just absolutely amazing. And the thing with Cheech, the first thing you see is him stepping into a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I think this movie, all the way through, there's so many things that I can absolutely relate to. And that is definitely one of them. I don't know how many times I wake up in the morning and, you just like got that sleep in your eyes and you're groggy and stuff. And you step in things that you're just like, what the hell did I just step in, man?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it actually, I think, stems from...
Rick said...
Yes.
I think that mainly stems from their real-life interaction because Cheech kind of meets up with Chong and kind of weasels his way into this comedy group that he's in. Once that breaks up there in Canada, that he follows Tommy back home. Tommy's actually married at this point. And he's like, Cheech, you can come and sleep on my couch. And Tommy had kids, so I'm pretty sure it's kind of, that kind of scenario where that came from, where, he's sleeping on Tommy's couch for real, probably woke up, stepped in a bowl of cereal. And they're like, let's just put that into the movie kind of thing. So that stems from their real life evolution of becoming this comedy team that we know today. From their origin story, if you will.
So then the little girl in the diaper that kind of like sits on him, was that Ray Dong Chong then?
It could have been, I guess.
Now, I like how they framed Cheech. Like, he is the ultimate Chicano. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's like, his vehicle, it looks like the outside, it looks like it's totally like a piece of dog water, right? Dog shit, dog water. But his rims, they're like shiny and new. They're awesome. The interior is amazing. His interior looks awesome.
Dude, I can't speak for the 70s because I was a little too young, but that spilled over into the 80s. I can't tell you how many guys I knew that had a classic car like his Chevy Impala SS, and they'd spend all kinds of money on the engine. They would do stuff in the interior, but the whole outside of the car would look like shit. And then it would like it would be full of Bondo and primer and stuff and mixed colors,
right.
But then it would have like $1,000 worth of rims on it, So that's exactly what that car was.
Yeah, it was definitely priceless.
Although since you brought up the car, Rick, I do like how just as you think that Cheech's character is going to kick out Anthony out of the car, Anthony goes and says, "Oh, I really like this interior. Did you do that yourself?" And then suddenly he's like, "Okay, all right. You complimented it. I'll let you stay."
Yeah.
Hey, you ain't no chick, no, but I can't get anybody to stop for me otherwise. Like,
hey, that's false advertising.
Yeah. I love that line, the false advertising line. And then, he just completely diverts him like, oh, wow, I love your car, dude. So it's like,
did you do it yourself?
Yeah, I'll take you wherever you want to go, sure. All you got to do is compliment the man's ride, and he's all on board, I can take you where you want. And then I love how they take off, and he's like at warp speed with this thing, like, hang on, and he just takes off like a bat out of hell. He's like, where are you going? Man, this is next, the next curb's just fine. And by the way, that's a drink, boys. That's a drink.
Reviewing this movie, Tim said, I was looking more from an analytical storytelling kind of thing and character development and all this jazz, and just watching this, it just seems like a series of sketches throughout the entire movie just to lead them to do something else like smoke weed or get high. And this sequence I thought was rather funny that he's driving down and man asks Pedro, that's two, you got anything on you? And then that's when he pulls out that teeny tiny little toothpick. He's like,
hey, this is a toothpick. That's all right. No, it's really a toothpick.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that is a toothpick. You know what, though? I have to interrupt here for a second before I lose my train of thought. But we should have probably put like a caveat on doing the actual viewing for this doing the viewing aspect for the movie review that we're doing now would be to make sure that you have a few drinks in you at least before you start watching the movie so you can get a better appreciation.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that's true because when I watched it the first time, when I brought it home and I'm putting this in, I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be so good. And I kind of watched it. I'm like, wow, like this is really not that good. When it's funny, but there's so many things that make no sense, like the way that they string them together. I mean, even starting at this beginning, the whole thing with him sitting on the couch with these kids. Are they his kids? Is he married? Is he not married?
Yeah.
You have no idea. And then later on, he's going to bring Chong home and they hang out and then they never come back. And these guys just go on this adventure. I don't understand how that fit into everything, but it did. It didn't matter. It's like a weird free flow thought, process where it's like, okay, that serves its purpose. It doesn't matter. We don't have to explain who the kids are or whether that, it kind of says it's this old lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just these guys live in this like fluid world where they just go from one thing to another. And when something doesn't fit the puzzle anymore, they're just like, you know what? That doesn't matter anymore. I'm just going to move on from that. Like there's no responsibility and stuff. And I think that goes against the grain of our old ass selves.
Yeah.
Where, we've got kids, we got families, we got responsibilities. Like you don't do that kind of stuff. And we're having a hard time connecting with that at this point. But man, when you're 18 and you're watching this shit, yeah, that doesn't matter. It just rolls through. You're probably partaking in, drinks at the bare minimum. And it's doing its job to
probably partaking.
Oh, okay, you are.
Does Howdy Doody have wooden balls?
Yeah, I know, and that stuff gives me splinters all the time. It's so funny when you think about the difference where you can't get that out of your old person mind. Like that's not how the world works. But then at that age, you're just like, shit, I don't care. It just got me to the next funny, dick and fart joke. So that's all that matters in my world. I can see where you could have a real problem with this because it conflicts, and I can see why the movie reviewers at the time, like Siskel and Ebert, hated this fucking movie because they were too old to appreciate it, and they couldn't get past the bad plot points, and I had a hard time the first time. The second time I tried to look at it from a different perspective, and I might have had a couple of drinks, made it way better for me. So
right.
I can tell you as far as these bad plot points, in my younger years, that shit happened. Like, that was the type of shit that happened over the summers and stuff like that. It was this type of shit. Some things were seemingly like, I can't believe that happened type shit.
Oh, yeah.
That is super relatable, man. But getting back to the scene, did you guys pick up on the line that he said when he was talking about music? And he's like, yeah, man, we play everything from El Santana to El Chicano, man, everything.
Yeah. Oh, as a musician, I totally picked up. I'm like, isn't that the same thing? I'm like, I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, when it comes down to the end of it, it's all Latin rock. I mean, it's just, Santana, probably to like War, which we get in there with the, the whole intro song and stuff. It's, El Chicano. It's just, it's all Latin rock.
We play both kinds of music, country and Western.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of statement. I loved it. It was killing me.
But how about that joint, man? Oh my God. Drink, by the way.
Yeah. I want to know who was the prop designer.
Yeah.
Man, it's like a quarter pounder.
That was absolutely intense.
It's as big as a damn cucumber, man. It's just like, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. He's like, what is this stuff? That's a bit of Bowie Wowie and Doberman. Like Doberman, or was it?
Labrador.
That's what Labrador. Yeah, my dog ate my stash. I had to follow it around the little shit for like 3 days. Yeah.
You mean we're smoking dog shit?
Which is brilliant later because they put out, I think it's the Big Bamboo album, and they have a giant rolling paper in the album that you would pull out that's big enough to make that joint. It's crazy.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love the fact that they had this really cool prop. I am curious that there were no major like story beats throughout this. It was like, what can we do to try to meld in some of our comedy album stuff? And this right off the bat just kind of kicks it up to the point where they're like, okay, here's our first skit, because all it is really just them them two talking back and forth on the comedy album.
Yeah.
So I think this just gave them a situation.
And I think I appreciate a little bit of the effects too. Like we just mentioned that the joint and the car as it's driving down the road, you can't even fucking see inside of it.
Oh, that's
so priceless.
Smoke. That's just killing me. Honestly, I mean, this is no different. If you think about all the other comedians, let's put a couple out there. Let's Jerry Seinfeld, Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall. If you watch any of their TV series, the first season is almost always their comedy albums, kind of like sprinkled into these plot devices until they flesh out. You know, in the case of Seinfeld, has a lot of seasons to it. Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall, not as much. But they flesh out and become their own entity. But in the beginning, it's it's not the Seinfeld. It's the comedian's comedy act that makes the basis of at least the first season, and that's what they did with this movie. I mean, it's absolutely what they did this movie. Now, gentlemen, I've said that word 3 times, so drink up.
I'm going to be opening another can of High and Dry here in a second.
I'm going to need to go get another Pepsi so that I can put it in with my crack. And oh, my God, I am not going to be able to function.
This is going to be fucked up, you guys.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going to happen in the next half hour, all right? Stay tuned.
If you don't subscribe after this, then I don't know what we got to do to get it.
You mentioned the car being full of smoke and them driving down, which I think is a great way for them to segue into the next scene, which of course is the two of them, sitting in their car and they're parked. And Pedro says, "Oh man, am I driving okay? Hey man, you're parked." It's 2. The car's parked on a median of all things. Anthony gives Cheech's character another drug to relax, and Chong's character's like, "Oh, stay calm, yeah, man. Just breathe, man."
Oh shit! How about when he told him, he's like, "Oh, don't take those, man."
Here, man, take these. He's like, this will get you to mellow out, man.
I took them.
Oh yeah, don't take those. Don't take those.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, you just took the most acid of any human I've ever seen.
I don't took no acid before, man. I don't.
Yeah, it was definitely something you would hear on their comedy album, and it was fun to watch. But I think what really steals the scene is when the cops come up to the car. And Pedro's gone, but Man's sitting there, and he's trying to get rid of his stash. And the only thing you think of is he just eating it the entire time. And I just think that is hilarious. So I have a count of 4, gentlemen. So Rick, any thoughts on Man getting rid of his stash?
Yeah, so when I was younger, there was a situation. I wasn't there. I heard a story of these guys.
Oh, that's always the story. I heard the story.
Yep. Where someone was trying to get rid of acid, and apparently he ate a whole sheet.
Oh.
Yeah. That's the story. I don't know how true it is, but that's the story.
I don't know. I mean, it's funny that he's trying to eat all that, but the funnier part to me is simply, do you have your license? My license? Yeah, your license. Isn't it on the back of the car?
Is it on the bumper?
Yeah. What's your name?
Forward. Yeah,
what's your name? Isn't it on the license?
Oh, yeah, that's me.
I mean, although watching Tommy over there trying to dry eat all these drugs, he's over there like a cat with a hairball.
Yeah.
Hey, what's his name? Ralph.
Yeah. It was a funny scene, and I have to admit it was clever that they were able to just try to find ways to get to the next situation, next scenario where they would have some kind of comedy or some kind of opportunity for the both of them to interact with each other. And I thought it was kind of weird that the cop didn't interact with Man at all until at the end. He's like, "Is your friend okay?"
Yep. I thought that it wound up to be pretty good when they, you think that they're dead to rights, and then they're in the courtroom, and it just so happened that that Chong is so annihilated that he's like dying of thirst and you're trying to get the water, and it just so happens that the judge's water is fucking vodka, man.
Yeah, it's vodka, man. The sad part about that is we gotta drink twice. You gotta drink twice.
Drink.
Hurry up and drink. Oh.
So I thought that was super cool. And the way that Chong was acting was like, holy shit, this guy is fucked.
There's a thing. There's a reason for that. There's a deleted scene. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. So Harry Dean Stanton, another one from our cowboy movies, was supposed to be in this film. And he plays a role as a jail guard. But he's a corrupt jail guard. And so he's like, yeah, you guys are in a lot of trouble and stuff. I mean, I'm sure you're really tense. And so he tries to sell them Reds or Seconal, downers, basically, to try to get them so they'll calm down when they go in there to talk to the judge, because he's like, oh, man, she's like a ball buster and stuff. And so he gives them the pills, and he's trying to get the money. And then Tommy sees another cop come up while he's trying to sell it to him. He swallows the pills, both of them. And so he's now got all these downers in his system, and that's why he's whacked out the way he is when he gets into the courtroom. And I think it's a shame that they cut that scene, because I feel like it really explains to it, because when you see him in the car, the scene before, I mean, yeah, he's got a lot of stuff, but he throws it all up, so we know he's not screwed up because of it. But it's because of these downers that Harry Dean Stanton gives him. And so that's what gets him completely off of his gourd, and why he's just all over the place in there. Huh. So I feel like they really should have put that back into the film, because I mean, again, not that this film's got a lot of really awesome continuity from scene to scene on it, but I think it was like a missed opportunity. They should have just left it in there, because like, oh, that's why this guy can't function. It's just fantastic. And it's just a shame that they cut, Harry Dean Stanton, which is only one of a couple people that you actually even know from this film.
Right.
How about the song? I Was Framed?
Yeah. I Was Framed. Some of the Cheech and Chong songs here, we look at them as comedy guys, but they were musicians to begin with. In fact, Tommy Chong, before he became a comedian, he was a legit musician. He played guitar on a lot of albums, like early on, because he says basically one day he went into this club when he was in his teenage years, and somebody gave him pot, and then he listened to a blues player. And the next day he went and he dropped out of school, because all he wanted to do was play guitar, smoke pot, and do the blues. And so he actually ended up on a lot of like early, I don't want to say Motown, but Motown-esque albums as a guitar player, like legit. Huh. And he even he wrote a song for one of the musicians he was on, one of the ones that really came to, became kind of prominent. And it hit like top 8 on the Billboard. So he actually has a pretty good history of being a musician. And then he kind of, one day he was in Canada and they were playing some clubs or something. And then every night he would kind of check out the town, and he ended up in a comedy club, and he loved it. It was like this improv group. And he's like, I don't want to do music anymore. I want to do improv. And so that's how he ended up becoming, a comedian. And then he met Chong, and Chong's kind of a musician too. Or I'm sorry, Cheech. He met Cheech, and Cheech is a musician. And so they kind of formed this. So everything that they did was kind of musically based a little bit, even with their name, like Cheech and Chong. It was because it flowed very nicely lyrically. It was never Chong or Cheech, or it wasn't about, who gets the higher title. It was just, how does it flow? And so the music that we hear, that's really those guys. They're writing that music. They're writing these songs, even though they're from a comedic perspective, but they're good songs. They're kind of catchy when you listen to them. Even the Up in Smoke one.
The one when they're in the van driving around, that one is killer.
Yeah.
The real heavy bass, that's killer.
Yeah.
You brought it up, Rick, the fact that they use the music as a 70s montage, showing them getting processed and then having to see the judge. So I'm like, all right, we got a little bit of a montage. So we're hitting some story beats. We got some montage.
They got to get this from one joke to another as fast as I can. And a montage was an excellent way of doing it.
Yeah.
And probably the most coherent way that they got us from one scene to another.
Maybe. And them in the courtroom, I felt like you could probably put 2 and 2 together and assume that Tommy Chong's character was blitzed out of his mind from having to taking all those drugs while trying to hide his stash. That's what I felt. It would have been nice to have seen that extra scene, though.
Yeah. I agree.
And you can find it if you guys want to see it. It's out on YouTube. Go look for it. It's out there.
Cool.
Just look for deleted scenes for Up in Smoke.
So, any other thoughts or before we move along then, like, man?
Ah, you suck! It's all right. You're eventually going to pay for this, Matthew. Keep going. Keep going.
I want to know about Curtis.
Curtis.
Mm-hmm. Curtis is on the case.
Oh.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Right. Yeah. You know, the guys get the case thrown out because the judge is, you know, drinking on the job. Pedro and Man go back to their house, and Man is now sleeping at Pedro's because he's basically been kicked out of his family home.
What are you trying to do to us here?
It's just 3, man. Man
yeah,
twice.
Again.
Pedro once.
Depakis and Anthony. Depakis and Anthony. Anthony and Depakis.
Dang, dude. Like James, I'm annihilated.
But we're introduced to Depakis's band, okay? And that's where we get to see some wonderful attire. Rick, why don't you tell us a little bit about that while I catch up on my drinking?
Shit, man. Yeah, so this attire it definitely looked cool as far as like if you was trying to get into like a legit like Mexican type of band, you know what I'm saying? This would be it right there. You know, you got, especially because you got the bass, and then of course you got to have a brass section, and then you have a guitar and a singer. Yeah, I kind of wonder if Cheech, like with the original band set, had an acoustic. You know what I'm saying?
All I can think of is, man, these clothes suck, dude. I don't want to wear this. It don't fit. Like, that's right. These do suck. Like, we want to wear, you know, something that's all the same but different.
Yeah.
That actually was awesome. That was actually awesome.
Man, it's me, Curtis, man. Too. I'm on it. He goes to put his hand up and he's like, nothing. He's just like, nothing. No, I'm not giving you a high five.
You know what I thought was funny is just the makeup of the band, because you have a guitar player who looks a little bit like Jimi Hendrix, and then you got Tommy who's going to be the drummer. Depakis' cousins are apparently the brass band. It was an interesting formation.
Yeah, I think the other guy was the bass player, because I think
James is the bass player.
I think Depakis was supposed to be the guitar player and the singer, and then the other dude was the bass player, and then the rest were like the brass band or whatever. And then Tommy is the drummer, which is kind of funny because in real life he's a guitar player, but yeah, he does the drums on this.
There is one point I wanted to highlight when I was reviewing this. This is where that movie theater cerebral thought kind of happened.
Oh, I don't think there's any cerebral thought going on in this, man.
Right. There's no real thought there.
But you try to put it in here. I want to hear how you're going to wedge it in. Go for it.
I'm trying to look at the characters here. So this is the moment that also sets up the theme throughout this film, that the two's incompetence seems to protect them, and they're too chaotic to catch. As we go through the movie, each time that they run into the cops, something chaotic or crazy or stupid happens to where they don't get arrested because of their own incompetence.
Yeah, dumb luck.
Yeah, they're two of the luckiest son of bitches ever.
So that's kind of the thing that I noticed right after the oh crap, my brain cells are falling apart.
It begins
right after the judge sequence. So yes, where was I at?
I think we gotta go to. They're gonna try to get a lid from Strawberry's house
because they have to get they have to get a lid before they can start the band. That for whatever reason they have to have a lid of dope before they can start.
They have to christen the ship. You know.
Yeah.
And we get another montage of them driving all over the city, trying to find, you know, and that's kind of the thing.
I've been searching, man.
Yeah.
Not to mention the beginning of that is them just driving from one side of the street to the other.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. And how about the car? Because it can't turn. He goes into the dirt all the way into someone else's lot.
Yeah. And what I also like about this is kind of also where the story delves more into, okay, we now have a journey. We're trying to find something. And it kind of is the theme throughout the entire movie, is they're trying to look for something, searching for something.
It's a quest for the ultimate high.
Yeah.
That leads us to now the introduction of another character. Everyone's favorite captain of the Nostromo, Tom Skerritt.
Yeah, you almost have to do double take. Like, is that Tom Skerritt. That is Tom Skerritt. Oh yeah, you totally yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't until I went through and watched it a second time that I kind of caught the whole thing of, oh, hey, man, this is my cousin. Don't like stare at his birthmark or anything. You know, don't look directly at him. You know, I didn't quite catch that. So when they show up at his house and poor man sitting there staring at him, he's like, what are you looking at?
Drink.
Yeah.
Drink.
Yeah, dude. That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome because he's straight up hard, give him the hard glare on that. And then before they leave to go get the lid, he's like, yeah, these guys don't like strange dudes.
Right. Talk a little bit about Strawberry and his time in Vietnam.
Yeah, he apparently he's gotten a little bit messed up from that Nam grass. And we get to see a little bit of that when they're actually making their way back around to the house. But in the meantime, it's actually really funny because Chong is just sitting there waiting. Obviously, he was fucking with the bird, telling the bird, "You want to get high? You want to get high?"
Yeah.
And then he's in the kitchen and he sees some Ajax. And by the way, the kitchen is an absolute shithole. But he's actually looking at this probably with hopes and dreams that perhaps down the road he might get his hands on some lines. So he's over here cutting this fucking Ajax, and some rando lady just shows up and starts taking it down and going crazy, talking about their stuff in the house and all this nonsense.
Dude, what was her whole reaction? Because, I mean, was she like some kind of comedian or something? Because it was
dude.
Nah, she's just a regular. So she was actually a model to start with. That's June Fairchild. And so she was a model to begin with, and then she kind of moves into movies. But dude, the performance on this, I don't know what she's got going on with her tongue, but I'm like, that's some screwed up stuff. Like you're watching her like do that tongue, and she's like, gah, gah, you know, and she does stuff. I don't know, the elephant and all kinds of other stuff. Like that performance was off the hook. But this is the last movie she's gonna do because she gets really into the drug culture, and it eventually wrecks her career. She ends up living on the street for years, and then kind of cleans herself up years later and spends the last few years basically in sobriety. But by then the drugs have taken its toll on her. But before that, she was really cute girl and everything. And she'd done some, I think she did something with the Monkees and a few other prominent bands and things like that at the time. So she had a kind of prominent career going.
Are you saying the Monkees are a prominent band?
Well, I mean, they were as prominent as you get in the 60s.
They had a show.
They were the American Beatles. I mean, really, they had their own TV show. I mean, they weren't really a big band, but they were a big TV show that had some albums that went along with it, kind of thing. I mean, still they were a big deal back then, as big as the Partridge Families, you know, stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's kind of, she comes to a tragic end, but man, that performance in that is just off the hook. It's crazy, you know. It just
method acting, maybe.
Yeah. And then I guess that's probably the biggest FX effect that they have, because when she's snorting that coke, they actually have a tube connected to a vacuum cleaner. That's how they're snorting that, or not the coke, but the Ajax. Right. That's how they're snorting that off the plate or whatever. But that reaction is just, you would think she was a comedian or something, like you said, because it is off the hook, really well done.
It was one of two very hilarious points for me in the movie when I was watching this. And I'll point out my second one later. And it was also kind of funny that we show up to the house and we don't see anybody at first. And then after that girl shows up, another girl shows up. And then now the whole place is in full swing. And I'm like, where'd all these people come from? I mean, this house was completely empty when we first establishing this shot.
I think it's when people start getting the word out that there's, you know, some drugs, then everyone shows up wanting to party. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a crash pad where you can have a party at and things like that. You know, against Strawberries, that dude ain't right in the head. I mean, you get that from the get-go. I mean, as soon as he warns them about the birthmark thing and stuff.
Yeah.
They go out looking for dope, but it seems that the party most of the time probably comes to him because he just lets people crash and do whatever there. They have all kinds of crazy parties, because when we get to the end of this and he comes back, it's like nothing had happened.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is just how this dude's life goes.
That dude didn't come back, bro. Man, he was a different person. He was having a serious
right. But he still comes back to the house, and like after everything happens.
Yeah.
You got Strawberry, and you got the pockets looking for, you know, weed throughout the neighborhood. It's like, oh, I got some people or whatever, but your buddy has to stay here. You're invited, but your friend can't come, if you will. And so he's kind of hanging out. First, he does that whole roach thing. He's like, "Oh, look at old Rocho," and he's trying to smoke that thing and sucks it down and stuff.
Oh,
and
shit,
almost burns
yeah.
out his lungs trying to do it. And then all these random people just start showing up and having a party, and all the drugs come to him. And later on, you get the Pockets that calls him like, "Hey, man, it's going to be a bust or whatever." He's like, "Oh, dude, there's a huge party going on here. You should come. Like, there's coke and pot and everything." And he's like, "No, man, like, you got to be quiet. You can't say this." And he goes outside, they hear the conversation, they close the door. And the thing that really cracks me up is he's calling from a payphone to the house where, you get basically Anthony picks it up and he's talking on a payphone in the house. Who the hell has a payphone in their house? Like, it just, it makes no damn sense or whatever.
You mentioned the bus, and of course that's done by our introduction of Sergeant Stadenko.
Yeah.
I loved how they introduced him because he's sitting in a van, and it's for a company that is a dry cleaner, and he's got a picture of the pants on the side of the van, and they managed to like zip the fly down so he can look out the little quote peephole, and I'm like, that is clever. That is clever.
Shoot the moon.
If there was anything that was probably inspiration for the later movies like Airplane and Naked Gun, that zipper on the side of the van is it. I mean, it's just that's totally it. So that's Stacy Keach who plays Sergeant Stadenko. And he reprises his role 2 more times. So, and we prominently hear about this character in the albums. This is the sergeant that they're always talking about. So I thought it was awesome that they included him in the movie. And then this actor decides to play it, 3 times, at least 2 more after this. So it's a consistent thing throughout the Cheech and Chong movie.
Yeah. Did you guys ever see Christopher Titus's television show?
Oh yeah. That was like a Fox show back in the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But Stacy Keach played his dad, and he played it fantastic. I mean, he was like this beer drinking, take no bull from Christopher Titus dad. I'm like, they cast him perfectly, and he kind of has a little bit of that character in this movie. So when I saw him show up, I'm like, oh, he's got this nailed.
Yeah. It was great to see him. I mean, we get a couple oddball characters. I mean, not only do we get Harry Dean Stanton, but we get the cool Tom Skerritt part. Now, I wasn't as familiar with Stacy Keach, but did you guys recognize one of his other detectives that's working with him, Miles Watson, or Harry, if you will? Like,
was that the bald guy?
Bald guy, yeah. So I recognized him, and again, this is probably going to be a me thing because I'm old as shit, but I remembered seeing him in The Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo. That was a prominent TV show back in like 1979. So I remembered seeing that guy. Like, he's always playing a cop, and stuff. So he's that guy in that thing, but it's usually that guy in the thing that's a cop or something like that. And so I remember seeing him.
The only reason I know the name of that show is because I watched The Simpsons, and there was that one episode where Homer was having a nightmare, and he's like, no, Sheriff Lobo, no.
Yeah. So
man,
I mean, that pretty much covers any real names that we've seen. Those are the 3 guys. One that didn't make the cut, that fell on the editing room floor, and 2 other guys that's it. Well, Strother Martin and basically him, and and I guess Miles Watson to a lesser extent. And then after that, everybody becomes just people you've never seen or heard of.
Yeah, I think the next key point, we talked about the raid or the bust. I think it's rather clever that the Pockets decides, I got to save my friend, I got to help my buddy out. So he comes up with this clever arrangement or cover idea to get Anthony out of the house. And he shows up with his 2 cousins, and they're dressed in like repo clothes, and they go inside and they're like repossessing the furniture as the cops are busting them. And he looks out the window and he sees Anthony outside, and he's like, dude, we're trying to get you out of here. I was out.
Yeah. There's that subtle look where he comes back in. He's like, yeah, I gotta get you out of here. And he looks at the door like, right there. I was already out, and stuff. And I love when they go to repossess the table, they just pick it up with everything on it. There's like burning candles and all kinds of stuff. And they just carry it all the way out to the car like that with everything on it. The drug paraphernalia, the burning candles, the cops like, whatever, So, yeah.
Well, I think they definitely characterized these cops, which added a little bit of a lure to the whole situation. Like, the cops were dumb, and they even had like donut jokes with the cops and stuff. So it was actually pretty.
Well, you got the overzealous Stadenko. who's in charge of all this. And then the rest of the guys under him are nothing but just dumb boobs. Like, just like the meetings he has with them when they're going over things and stuff like that. It's almost like he's running a class for trainees or whatever. These guys are just dumb as shit. So, and he's trying to make a name for himself, and these guys are just going to hinder him all the way up and down the line.
We'll see it later on in the movie, but he even points out, what about all that training that I got you? It's like, yeah, he's definitely got some people underneath him that aren't exactly the brightest bulbs in the bunch.
Sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, but I got to say this, though, before I forget. Curtis is probably one of the coolest characters, in my opinion, in this film. I like really, really, really dig Curtis. And to some extent, James as well. And James in particular because of his lines. Like, I really, really dig the 70s, like, jive lingo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I love it, So a scene before when they were showing off the new threads, it was super cool. I can't even remember exactly what the lines were that James had said, but it was awesome. It was definitely in that whole, like, hey, man, these threads are, I don't even know what he said. I think he said like hip or something like that. I don't know what he said, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, I did like the show when Curtis showed up and James. They definitely gave some new characters to the film.
Curtis actually, he comes back after the whole scene where they do their drug bust, and then we go back to their place, and Curtis is there, and he's trying to sell them diamonds, baby, diamonds.
Yeah.
And and they're like, yo, man, I don't need no diamonds. We need to get a lid. And he's like, hey, man, I got the stuff. It'll put a hump on a camel's back. It's that Arab from Turkey.
Yo, baby, it's Curtis, man. It's Curtis. I got my thumb on the pulse.
Yes.
I think they missed a golden opportunity. They should have put Richard Roundtree in there. Like, how awesome would it have been to be Shaft to be Curtis,
That would have been cool. After the guys escape the bus, they head back to Pedro's house.
Hang on!
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, I had to grab my other Diet Pepsi because you guys are really running me through this. I'm almost out.
Sorry.
I'm going to be in my third drink.
Sorry.
And we got a long way to go, and after that, I'm just purely into straight drinking rum, and then it's going to really get interesting.
Why is all the rum gone?
I feel like it picks up from here on out, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to pick up from here. I guarantee you.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely going into the third act with, they go back to the Pacas' home. They're all hanging out, and then, like Rick had just mentioned, we had Curtis's moments, but then the house gets raided. And I was like, man, is that just a running theme through this movie is busts and raids? And then I thought it was hilarious where, Pedro's like, oh man, it's a wedding. And it turns out they're getting raided by the INS because his cousin turned himself in because he needed to have a wedding in Tijuana. So they're going to ship them all down there for free because immigration is going to send them all back home.
It was so brilliant because it's the one part where you don't see it coming. You're thinking, oh, okay, it's another raid. And it's like, no, it's immigration services that just pulled up a bus, and it does that explanation like, well, why? What's going on with that? He goes, oh, my Uncle Pedro called it himself. And he's like, or was it Pedro? I don't remember what the cousin's name is, but he's like, he's getting married and he's using his free transportation all the way down to Mexico. I'm like, oh my God, that's so funny.
And he's the only one dressed up nice.
Yeah. You can clearly identify who's the groom.
Yeah. He's got his suitcase, got the tux on and everything. It was just hilarious, and you didn't see it coming. It's like, wow, that's an interesting angle for this film. That's really, really kind of funny.
Yeah. I thought it was clever and hilarious.
It probably come from something that
I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, I mean, that is what will eventually become Born in East L.A. Cheech will he will do that song, and then he'll make that movie, which also, unfortunately, is going to be what breaks up Cheech and Chong, is that song in that movie.
Yeah.
That, I think you're right. It stems from something in real life, and then he just kind of, basically for this film kind of worked it into it, and then eventually he's going to work it into its own film for his own self project.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I enjoyed East L.A. I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, that was probably the first one out of all of these that I watched, actually.
No, okay. So the guys are now stuck down in Mexico, and they need to figure out a way back. And so that's when Depakis decides to go talk to his uncle, who has a furniture smuggling business. But we find out from Sergeant Stadenko, who winds up at the border, and he has the reason why they're smuggling furniture. In the most elaborate situation, they managed to use the fibers of marijuana to make a TV or some kind of device or some kind of furniture. So that's how they're smuggling the drugs across the border. Is they're 3D printing items out of weed to get it across the border and then breaking it down to sell the weed. And I just thought that again is another clever idea.
Did you guys catch what was on his paper when they were trying to actually find the upholstery shop?
No, I didn't.
So he had made a little bit of a mess because he was eating food on that, or Chong was eating food on the paper, or so I can't remember who was eating it.
They were eating burritos.
It's Chong, yeah.
Yeah, and they were looking at the numbers, and he was like, "Oh, is it a 7 or a 1?" And he was like, "Well, probably this is it." And they go into that I guess it kind of was an upholstery shop, but
the front.
I have a mind to think that it might not have been his uncle's because...
Oh, yeah, it totally wasn't.
Yeah.
It's because he went to the wrong address, and that's how he ends up there. And you got Stadenko who's talking about, like, oh, look how clever they are. Look at this TV. It's entirely made of pot. The frame, the tube, everything. And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. But it's so funny. And then they mock up all those pictures to show this crazy process where they take the weed, they break down, they turn it into chemical, and then they mix it with something else, they turn it into plastic, and then they spray it all over everything like a chia pet, kind of stuff. So it's just super crazy convoluted process that they're turning an entire vehicle into dope, and then you got these two bumbling idiots who like, we're supposed to go to one address, but because we didn't go to, what was it, like 7711, but they went to 7717 or whatever, and that was the address of an equally the same upholstery place, but instead they were doing this whole pot thing in the back of it or whatever. So it was just killing me. It's so funny that they bumble through life. Everything that they do is just they bumble from one thing to another.
Yeah,
they manage to somehow get out of all the trouble that they get themselves into, and they're just oblivious of the world around them and how lucky they are about how they just managed to get out of all these crazy jams. And this is just one more and it's even funnier that they just show up, they're like, hey, we're here from the van, and they just turn over this, like, what does he say, like $9 billion pot truck completely made out of pot to these guys to just drive back,
Yeah.
I like how you use the word oblivious, because Cheech got to go to the bathroom so bad he can't even focus on anything else but getting to a bathroom, despite the fact that he's walking around in a factory that has, what did he say, $9 billion of marijuana?
Yeah.
But that Mexican burrito just ripped him up to the point that he can't handle it. I like when he's walking through there, and he touches that one thing and it's surprised, like, and he grabs his buddy. He's like, oh, I hope that was just a fart, kind of thing and stuff.
Yeah. Keep clenching.
And he doesn't even think about it, gets back there, and there's that guy that's in the one stall that's like completely tied up, got like toilet paper jammed in his mouth. He's like, oh, sorry, I didn't know you were in here. He's like, oh, he goes in that next stall. And I like how they leave it to the theater to buy. He's like, oh, somebody else must have one of these burritos too. So that stall had to be nasty. And he just pulls off that girly picture that he's going to use for toilet paper, goes in there, sits down, and then to add the cherry on top of the scene, as they pan down to his feet, and he's wearing shoes with the toes cut out because they don't fit him. It's just like, it's all those little details that you just gotta love in this film.
Yeah. Even throughout the movie, it's like his clothes don't fit him. Like his pants are too big, but yet his white beater shirt is cut too short.
Well, it's like that 80s, I don't know, crop. It's like a weird crop top. I don't know what you call that, but yeah, it was midriff, like midriff shirt or whatever. But yeah, it doesn't even fit him correctly and stuff.
So Stadenko is describing everything, but he's like talking to his cohorts or his subordinates, and just the fact that they don't really know what he's looking for them when he asks them questions like, "How much do you think this would be worth?" And the sheer fact that we get exposition from him, but it's so slapdash and haphazard the way that it's portrayed. I thought that was kind of funny.
It's almost like game show. Like, I'm gonna stay at I'm staying solid at 2 million. It's like, oh no, I'm going like a billion or whatever and stuff. These guys are all over the place, and he's like, it's $9 billion, guys. Like, oh, and he's like, he's kind of going through that seriously. Like, okay, any questions? They all raise their hands. And you can see at that moment, he's like, I'm surrounded by idiots. It's just,
So, we get this establishment of how they make stuff out of the pot. What did you guys think of seeing the assembly of that van?
I think my favorite part is when they're putting it all together, and then you got the person painting the pot leaf, because it's like, look, we made this completely covert 3D printed pot truck, but let's just paint a little pot leaf on it because we want to just kind of stick it to the cops if we can. Like, look, you didn't capture it, even though we painted the leaf on it because we have it so well disguised or whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah.
And they also painted it green too.
Yeah.
Like, what's the first thing you think of when you look at that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's right on par with the Dumb and Dumber dog van. I mean, it's such an iconic vehicle for this show or whatever. It's like the cops are looking for this thing. You got me hiccuping now. Look at that, man.
I think everyone's feeling it at this stage of the game.
Oh yeah, I almost fell over there for a minute. But I mean, you got the cops looking for this, and they can't spot a green, like you said, a green van, fibrous van with pot symbols on it, and the grill. Look, I mean, there's no way you look at that grill and you're not like, well, that looks very organic.
Well, even the license plate, does it say like Yeska or something like that? And it's like, isn't that form of?
Yeah, that's in Spanish. It's marijuana. I got the full fuck. I actually translated this shit actually somewhere in my notes. I could swear.
Let's type it in here. What does Yeska mean in Spanish?
I think it's another word for marijuana, but I think there's like an additional little word before marijuana.
Gotcha.
Yeska primarily means tinder or kindling in Spanish, gentlemen. There we go. So it's not really it's not really a drug a drug term as much as it is just tinder or kindling, but still. But I think there's some weird story behind that where one of the members that's involved in this, whether it's the producer or whatever, he has some band called Yeska. So that they did that as tribute to that person because that was the name of their band. I don't know the whole story behind it.
No, it's a colloquial, it's like a slang term for weed.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with that because I'm ignorant and I don't know any better. But there you go. I was far more entertained with the earlier license plate to Cheech's car. That says Muff Diver. That I thought was far more funny and more obvious in my mind.
Yeah. So of course now the two stoners managed to drive this vehicle to the border, and I thought it was again a classic stoner movie where they're trying to get this stuff across the border and they run into another vehicle full of nuns. And I know I've seen something similar to this before where nuns are taken in by accident and arrested as a diversion tactic. So gentlemen, what did you think of our nuns and our nuns on the run? And by the way, that was 3 stoners.
Oh man. There's the 4th one.
Oh shit.
Glad I grabbed that extra thing.
Yeah, man, I think they was kind of into it. You could tell by the looks of their faces that while at first they did not appear to be too agreeable with this procedure that they had to endeavor, but while going through it, where none of the other nuns could particularly see the looks in the other nuns' faces, I think they secretly had a little bit of enjoyment out of the whole pat down.
Yeah, I think their eyes gave that away for sure. They were enjoying the forbidden fruit of that frisk, if you will.
The other thing that instigated that, though, was because Anthony's token on another big giant joint. How did he get that again?
I think they didn't. Oh, no, I don't know. I was thinking maybe they didn't finish it from before, but they would have probably had that thing confiscated, right? So
right, but
I don't know, man.
Well, they were in Mexico. Enough said, right? I mean,
True.
I think it's more readily available there.
Yeah.
So he's kind of toking it up all the way to the border as much as he can before they got to, dump the stash, if you will.
Yeah.
I just had an idea here. Explains everything.
All right, lay it on us.
Okay, so the reason why this movie kind of makes sense is because these motherfuckers, like we said before, they're always looking for the next high. There's a reason why they're always looking for the next high. Because when they score one, they go ahead and roll everything up into one singular joint.
I mean, hell, that's part of their comedy act. He's like, it was when I was like, how many joints are in it wasn't a lid. It was, what's the next one? A key. And he's like, 2, because I roll them big. And he's like, the judges roll them big too. So yeah, it's that's kind of their whole MO. Go big or go home.
I do want to point out we do get another comedy trope. Stadenko talking to a news reporter as the truck drives by in the background, and he's like, oh well, we're hoping to get some violence here and all this stuff, and with the reporter, and that of course leads us to see they get the nuns to this building and they frisk them down and everything. Again, the whole incompetence of Cheech and Chong. They stop to use the bathroom at the same building that the cops are at, and Chong manages to like pee on the
sergeant's leg. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and then they drive off after the canine dog or the canine officer takes a look at the vehicle. And this is the part that I couldn't stop laughing, was when they pulled away, they left the dog there, and the dog has both paws straight up in the air laying on his back because it's completely stoned out of its mind. That was the funniest part for the entire film for me. I mean, it was like completely absurd.
I don't know. The thing that gets me from that scene, Matt, I mean, the dog's funny, but the reporter is even funnier. Do you remember the reporter's name?
Isn't it like Tokyo Hamada or something like that?
It's Toyota Kawasaki.
Oh, yeah.
You totally could not have that joke these days, to have a name like that for an Asian reporter. So this is Toyota Kawasaki reporting from the border.
So any other thoughts on the dog or the nuns getting patted down?
I mean, no. I mean... It's pretty straightforward, man. That's just
so. As we go into basically the final act or the final movement of this movie, we have Pedro and Man driving the truck along the highway towards East L.A. and they are completely unaware as Stadenko is on their tails, and the guy stopped to pick up some female hitchhikers because apparently that's all that Cheech likes to do is pick up female hitchhikers, and this allows Stadenko to see an opportunity to take the guys, but due to his crew, they're stranded on the side of the road because they shoot their own tires out.
Well, I don't know if it was a they thing and it was more of a Harry thing. And actually, I really enjoyed that interaction between the sergeant and Harry, because the sergeant was like, have you ever yelled at your dog? It was like that same interaction, get over here. And then he like raises his hand like he's going to hit him, and he runs away, and he looks, and he runs away. He walks back, he runs away. It's too much.
Hey, you're right. I never thought about it, but it's like a dog getting swatted with a newspaper. Give me your gun. Get over here. Get away. Get away.
And that's where we get the line of him saying, what about all that money I spent on your training?
Did you notice that every single fuck up, it changes where these motherfuckers are sitting inside that car?
Yes. They keep getting moved to the back until everybody's sitting in the back except for Stadenko.
Yeah. And I want to know what happened to get the second guy in the back seat, because we see the scene where they're like driving down the road and there's Stadenko, the guy in the middle holding all the coffee cups, and then the guy at the far right, and poor Harry is like in the back seat. Because all of a sudden, like the next scene that we see, all three of them are in the back seat.
Yeah, exactly.
What happened to get that middle guy to go to the back seat? I feel like I'm missing something because I want to know what happened to the coffee cups.
What had happened was when they were at, so they pick up the two chicks and they decide to go to the police station. So while at the police station, Cheech and Chong get on the mic and they're fucking with these guys, and they're like, and that's when damn.
Captain Lardass.
And that's when they fucking
Sergeant Lardass.
Yes.
Well,
the middle guy already went to the back seat when that happens, because it's just Stadenko and the other guy are sitting in the front seat, and he kind of like chuckles. He's like, "Oh yeah."
He's totally getting played by Cheech and Chong on the mic.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. But the other thing about this scene that gets me too is, how about that crazy hippie girl that he picks up? The Jade East, the redhead. I mean,
oh gosh,
she gets in that car and she's just got like insanity written all over. This girl has got crazy written all over her face, and she's just sitting staring at Chong. I mean, just staring at him in the craziest manner. As soon as you pick her up, you're like, oh, nothing good is coming from this whatsoever. I mean, she is out of her mind. So
yeah, especially when she goes to offer for Man the drugs, and she's like, no, I don't have any of that, and then she's like mouthing, yes, I do, because she doesn't want anyone else knowing.
Yeah, it's just
drink.
Did you guys happen to notice what kind of shoes that the one chick was wearing? They were hardcore stripper shoes.
No. I believe it. I actually had to look her up when I was done. Her name is Zanes Busby. And unlike the Ajax girl, this woman who you think would just be a one-hit wonder kind of thing, she actually moves out of acting, becomes a producer, produces all kinds of TV series that you've heard of over the years, and then becomes a philanthropist. I can't say it. I can't say it anymore.
Philanthropist.
Yes, thank you. And she like really helps a lot of major charities and stuff. So she becomes a really big, kind of success later in her life, unlike the Ajax lady who just totally succumbs to the drug culture kind of thing. So it's pretty interesting. You should read up about her. She's like legit. She's, really makes something of herself over the years. So whatever acting she's doing there, it's because she's just that freaking good. She's just playing that role to its fullest.
What I like about them picking up these two girls is they're kind of like gives them direction, because they mention the Battle of the Bands, and I think they're the kind of the driving force that gets them to where they need to be for the end of the movie.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it gives them some direction finally.
I mean, this entire movie's basically been like I would almost say like a road movie or a search movie, because all they're looking for is some kind of like something to do, some kind of direction, and of course the first thing they want to do and find is to get the next high.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, if you think about it, if we back up all the way to the beginning, he picks him up off the side of the highway. CCS Drum says, "Let's start a band." They show up. They kind of diss Curtis's outfits, like, no, man, these things suck. We all want to look the same but different. But before we can start the band, we have to go get a lid. They go in search of this lid. Everybody either gets deported or arrested, and then they get deported. And then they pick up these women, and then they're like, oh, well, we need to go do the Battle of Bands. These guys have not rehearsed. Like, literally, they have not done anything. And now they're going to show up to the Battle of the Bands. It's just this crazy thing where they're like, you know what? We've never written a song or gotten together to even play together, but we're going to go do the Battle of the Bands now. It's the most insane premise you've ever heard of.
Well, Cheech's whole like theory to this, his logic to this is like, it's just punk, but it's just punk music, like it doesn't fucking matter,
Yes. Punk rock doesn't play. They just look punk rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's not even punk rock. They're an El Chicano band.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not punk rock. They're an El Chicano band. So it was, because even when they show up, they're like, hey, who's this white drummer? You say, you guys like, oh, this dude right here, So like, he definitely is not fitting the bill as far as they're concerned. He makes no sense.
Yeah. They get the next drive to get to the Battle of the Bands. The girls also hook them up with some more drugs from their contact at the local police station. And that's where I think that's where Rick mentioned, that they screw with Stadenko.
Yeah, and those dudes start laughing, they get in trouble.
Yeah.
Which is how they all in the back seat. So there you go, man.
Lardass.
But what I think is hilarious is the fact that when Stadenko shows back up to the police station and Cheech and Chong are leaving with the two girls, and Cheech's like, oh, I gotta go use the bathroom. And he walks into the bathroom, and he
Yeah.
he pees on Stadenko's leg again.
Right, yeah, for the second time. Yeah.
Yes.
Both times, different legs.
Yeah, different guys.
It's kind of a funny thing because you think about it, he's actively chasing these guys, but yet he has no idea who he's really chasing.
Right.
And these guys have no idea that they're being pursued. Again, this is just that dumb luck that they're going along. They're oblivious that they are part of this large police sting, and he's like adamant that he's going to do this police sting, but has no idea who he's really looking for. It's like the craziest version of the fugitive that you'll ever see.
Yep. There's one other instance that I kind of glossed over. I want to circle back to where they get lucky, and at one point the car starts the truck starts to catch on fire near the tailpipe.
Oh yeah.
And they're driving through town and they're just leaving a trail of smoke and everyone's getting this contact high, and they get pulled over by a police officer. And as the police officer's walking up, he's like smelling the smoke, and they get lucky because he's like, "You guys want it?
What do you guys want?
What do you guys want?
Nothing.
No. Yeah.
Can I have that hot dog in your window? Yeah, absolutely, man. Here you go."
I love the way he asked. He's like, "You think I can have that hot dog?"
And those guys are like, sure. Here you go, man.
They absolutely look like something is going on. Fucking sitting on each other's lap.
Like,
yes,
dude,
yes,
is it just me?
100,000%.
Is this the most surreal thing we've ever seen in our lives? Like, this makes no fucking sense. This guy pulls us over for a hot dog. What the fuck?
Yeah, you're in a stoner movie when.
Oh shit.
So after all this, the guys finally arrive at the Roxy for the Battle of the Bands, and they manage to elude the cops. And man takes a little too much of something, downers or uppers. I'm not sure. The redhead says that she gave him some uppers, but he's acting more like he took some downers.
Yeah, I think she just like him gave the wrong stuff.
Yeah. Oh, hang on, don't take those.
Yeah.
But I think before you even get to that, Matt, you're glossing over one of the biggest, funniest parts of this movie that was improvised.
Oh, yeah.
And that's him in the back of the van, and she starts talking about, like, he's passed out with the other woman that's back there, and that crazy redhead is just...
Yeah, Jade.
It's just babbling on and babbling on and babbling on
about, I thought that took place after he took the drugs.
She's telling the story.
She's telling the story.
Yeah.
Am
I getting my timeline mixed up?
No. It does before that because yeah, and she's like talking about the whole deal about she had a roommate and she would have sex with a guy and then she'd be talking to like having sex with him and she just keep talking about his name like Anthony give me more, Anthony give me more, Anthony give me more, and it's just and this is a real story that these guys actually in real life had heard and they're like, let's just incorporate this. Like somebody told them the story on the set and they're like, let's just put this in the movie. And they shot this whole scene in like 30 minutes in that van. And they, they had her kind of reiterating that story or whatever. And, and then Chong's just infuriated. Like, I got a cramp and stuff. And it just gets totally out of control. And the van's shaking around. Like, I got a cramp, man. I got a cramp. And Chong's, Cheech is in the back, like, not know what the hell's going on in there. And all the people could hear them screaming about her, be like, harder and stuff. And, and then he comes out of the van when it's all over and everybody's applauding and everything. It was like one of the most improv, non-scripted things that they had in there that they threw at the last minute that completely paid off. And that girl just sells it all the way. And I think Tommy just improvising the leg cramp on top of it just makes it even funnier. And he comes out and he's like fanning off his, his nether regions, if you will, and stuff, because it's like, I don't know what you just did in there, but it sounded amazing.
Watching it completely, sober, it felt like it was a scene that was added in for no real effect other than just comedy.
But it pays off.
It really didn't progress the story, but yes, it does.
But it pays off 100%.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool story. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And knowing after the fact that they threw it in at the last minute is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like that paid off as well as it did,
Yeah. Now, after that whole sequence, we see we're now established that they are at the Roxy. They're just waiting for their time to show up. And during all this, they had managed to elude the cops. And like I said, Tommy's character took too much drugs. And so Jade's trying to like walk it off of him. And he's like, she sits him on the side of the street, and then like another guy stands up and she takes and carries him away. And
that just kills me.
Yeah. And then he like
grabs another random dude.
Yeah. And just the fact that, they managed to incompetently miss police officers and stuff so they don't get arrested, I just think is rather clever. And eventually, somehow, the cops learn the whereabouts of the van and they arrive at the Battle of the Bands. And the first thing they do is they take out some Harry Kirshners and they want to try to get into the Battle of the Bands in these Harry Kirshner get-ups. And I couldn't help but think of that wonderful comedy Airplane with Harry Kirshners.
That's a drink.
Oh yeah. And of course, Stacy Keach has like an M16 or like a machine gun on his side as he's walking through, and I'm like, you can clearly tell.
I thought it was just his police revolver, not an M16.
I don't know. It looked like it had a strap, and it looked like it was,
I think it was a shoulder rig that he's trying to hide under the Harry Krishner stuff. The guy's like, he's like, we got to get in here. It's a matter of urgency because we're the police and stuff. Guy's like, not without a ticket. He's like, do you see what I got here? He goes, that's a gun, not a ticket.
That actually was one of the funniest fucking lines, dude. That is a gun.
Can you imagine being a bouncer, being that ballsy? Sir, that is not a ticket. It's a gun. You cannot come in.
I love the pauses in between that he uses. That is a gun, not a ticket.
And then he's looking at the other guy like, can you believe the balls on this guy over here? He thinks he brings a gun and can just come in at will,
Something that you had said earlier is that like most of the other characters that we see that have particular speaking parts, we don't really see them in anything else like in the future. I imagine it probably has something to do with the fact that some of these people, I think they're maybe not actually actors and they're actually picking people who are actually those jobs. Like I could definitely see these two dudes being actual bouncers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, this movie was made for $1 million. And Paramount didn't even want to make it initially. They just were like, it kind of got thrown into a package deal that Paramount, I don't remember the circumstances, how it came to be, but they were like, oh, well, okay, we got to make this. And they threw $1 million at it or whatever. And they actually ran out. They're like, we need another $800,000 to finish this. And Paramount's like, nah, because the head of Paramount seen it, was like, I've seen this to this point. It is dog shit. I'm not giving you any more money. If you can't fix it, then it just ends here, kind of thing. So
just make it go.
Yeah. He was. I mean, you can get it when you see it because again, he's probably got to stick up his asshole guy who's not in part of the culture. And it's just like this movie has no. It makes no fucking sense. No, like this is dumb.
And that guy's name was Matt.
Yeah, there you go. And Lou Adler, who was the director of this film, who's actually he's a guy that's known in the music industry. This guy's like made like gold albums and things like that. He's produced all kinds of stuff. He's a heavy hitter. So he this is his first time foraying into the movie. So he's like, I'll put up the rest of the money or whatever. And he just, they just didn't get this film at all. So I'm sure they just did whatever they could. Again, it was almost guerrilla filmmaking. It's just like whatever we can get our hands on is how we're going to make this film. The locations like weren't even in Mexico. Most of them were all done in Los Angeles and things like that. They just did with whatever they could and made the best movie they could, which again, probably all the money went into the super dope vehicle for the most part and nothing else.
Right.
So that was the biggest thing of the movie. So yeah, you're right. A lot of these people are just people that they knew. They're like, hey, you want to be in the movie? They're like, oh yeah, shit. Yeah, it's Cheech and Chong. I'll be in this movie. What the hell? And it almost didn't get made and nobody had any anticipation that this movie was going to make any money. And this $1 million investment that Paramount made yielded them like $104 million fucking dollars. And they're just like,
damn.
Yeah, I mean, and Cheech and Chong at the end of this didn't make shit. Like they were done. They took a whole year off from doing their comedy tour. And they were like, the most ironic thing when it's done is we made very little money, like $10,000 a piece or something, even less than that, I think. And Lou, even though they were kind of friends with him, he made all the money on this because he signed a contract with them that basically said they got all of it and they got very little. And so they're like, we're poorer than when we started because we haven't been acting. So they had to go back to basically doing the comedy routine to try to get money because they were broke. So when they went to do the next movie, they're like, we're not going to get effed over like we did on this one. So and the next movies after that, they figured out how to, get paid finally because they signed some crazy contract. Like I think it was like a 6-picture deal with Paramount that, through Lou Adler, that they weren't going to get paid at all. They were just going to lose money continuously. And then this New York shyster kind of came in and got them out of the contract and made it so they would make money going forward. But that's a whole nother probably podcast in itself. But
right.
But the end thing is this movie had no anticipation of making money and made a huge amount of windfall, in the end. So, but yeah, it just there was just nothing for them to work with when they were actually filming.
Well, speaking of things going up in smoke, we get to the end of the film here, and we're now at the Battle of the Bands. The cops show up, and now it's time for this Chicano band to show up and perform. And we get the cool costumes that are all kind of different, but yet the same.
Right.
Yeah, you literally get to feel that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because like the brass section has their own costume. The Jimi Hendrix wannabe bass player's got his own costume. Chong's got his own costume. And then Cheech shows up in probably the most ridiculous costume I've ever seen a lead guitar and lead singer show up in. And I'm like, what? He's got a tutu and some Minnie Mouse ears. What is going on? I mean, totally convoluted. And we suddenly, like, man falls over on the drum kit, and there's just like all this craziness happening, and that it looks like it's getting set up for them to fail. But
absolutely,
because
man,
the band catches on fire, it makes the whole audience completely stoned.
They start ordering a bunch
and
of
then
food.
The guys start playing, and it's like, because of their playing, I got thinking, I'm like, okay, so do they sound good because everybody's stoned? Do they play well because they were stoned? Or is it just a mishmash of everything? Because I'm like, how could they possibly win the Battle of the Bands from this?
Okay, so I got you on this. I totally understood exactly what was happening.
By the way, 3 drinks.
Oh, here we go.
Shit.
One of you guys are going to have to drive over here, help me get upstairs when this is all over.
Okay, so here's the explanation for what all happened. So just to reiterate, I really do think that is what the same but different looks like. You know what I'm saying? Do you guys get what I'm picking up?
I think I get what you're picking up.
Okay. But it was like, that is what we saw. Like, that is what we saw. If we would have been there, we would have saw that. You know what I'm saying? However, if the marijuana wasn't proliferating in that room, I think it would have sounded way worse.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that was a really cool take on, like as the director of, like, here's what it's going to sound like if you were there, opposed to, I mean, because you heard the rest of these dudes, I mean, it wasn't like any stellar mic, going on. As a matter of fact, I wrote down, I thought that most of these other punk bands, funny enough, and by the way, this came out, was it
78?
It honestly sounded like some 1990s fucking
emo
alternative bands and stuff like that, like Green Day and Offspring and stuff like that. Did you guys notice that?
I think it reminded me of like early 70s punk, like Sex Pistols and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, I got that.
It was bad punk music, really bad punk music. I think some of those bands were legit, like that were actually there. Yeah. And it makes sense. I mean, if you put it together, I mean, it's because that van's idling outside and it's, the basically the exhaust is burning the van. It's burning the pot because the cops are out there. They're all stoned. And Danko even knows he's stoned and he's having problems. The rest of them are like, man, why fight it? Just go with it. They're eating pizza and shit. Yeah.
Just go with it.
He's like, I'm stoned. I'm completely stoned. What do you want me to do? Just go with it. I'm going to go with it. And he's eating pizza and crap like that. And that's getting into the exhaust, into the Battle of the Bands. All the audience is getting completely stoned off of this because it's super weed. I mean, super concentrated on his van. I mean, there's no way these guys normally would have won, except for the fact some of those other bands were really bad too, I thought. And personally, I think the Cheech and Chong were better. And then, to what you were saying, like with Cheech being out there with that outfit, you're like, it's got to be the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But think about the lyrics he's singing. Like,
Yeah.
My daddy, he's legit because he caught me in my sister's clothes. He caught me in the bathroom wearing pantyhose, you know. So that's why he's dressed in that manner, because it goes along with what he's singing about, kind of thing. So it fits. It fits the narrative of what the band is playing as to why he's dressed that way. I mean, Chong's just dressed the way he is because, well, he's strong, you know. Although I find it miraculous that one minute he's falling over and the next minute he's able to completely play with no problem, which is, again, where the problem comes with, you know, between the, you know, like my young self going, yeah, that seems plausible, I can believe that, no problem, and my older brain going, there's no fucking way, that's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. So, you know, again, it's where you're at in life, and you know, as to how you're watching this film, as to the believability of it, I think. But yeah, did they win? They won because they got everybody stoned. Because that's why you see people like all of a sudden eating burgers and shit in there too, because they're all getting the munchies, and it's what causes them to get launched into stardom, if you will.
Right. And I think that kind of like leads us to our last shot, you know, that you see the two guys in the car. They're talking about how, yeah, man, we're going to become famous. Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. Yeah. Yeah. And then they like, you know, try to smoke up a joint and then like almost crash the car. And I think that just kind of like leads us to explain how they get a comedy album, because now they have a record label and a record contract. 2, by the way, because I said man. 3.
It doesn't pay attention. I'm glad you are. I'm not really glad.
So what do you?
I'm annihilated.
What do you guys think of the final scene of the film? You know,
I think I'm fucked up, but
well, I have to say, I like how it kind of bookends the movie. You know, you first have them interacting with each other in the car. We end with them interacting within the car, and they've just gone through this whole series of events, and now they're just a little bit more. I wouldn't say they went through a hero's journey, but they're a little higher up in life now because of that. And they're
high, all right. I don't know. I mean, it's a nice bookend to it. It doesn't make any sense. No, it's the dumbest shit you've ever seen. But again, you know, if you're looking at it from the point of somebody who's into that culture, or just, you know, completely drunk like we are, you're like, yeah, that seems to connect just fine. I'm good with it. Yeah, I can accept that. If you're taking it from purely somebody who's completely sober and looking at this as like, why is this in the book of 1,001 movies? I don't understand. I could see that. If you're Siskel and Ebert, like, this fucking movie makes no sense. I don't know why anybody would go see it. It's poorly written, poorly executed, you know, and it makes no sense. I don't know why anybody would want to go see it. It hits a niche. You're gonna get it because you're not really getting things, and it's just like you're willing to just let a lot of stuff go, or you're gonna be like, this is dumb, and I know, like, this is just stupid. It makes no sense. I don't understand how this would work, but that's what I got.
I think it has to do with, no, I get what you're saying. I think it has to do with like relatability, you know, because I could tell you that I can relate to a lot of these, because they're really like little skits all banded together by some loose plot, you know what I'm saying, with I think big themes, you know what you have the theme of getting scoring a lid, and you have the theme of getting in a band.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And those are pretty much the two themes going on that drive the whole entire movie. So I get exactly what you're saying with that, because it totally makes sense.
I think the theme's a little bigger than that. It's the fact of trying to find direction in life, and their direction focuses on getting high, and then eventually into being a band.
I think what this movie suffers from is that
plot.
Well, other than a coherent plot, is that it should have been an independent film. It's backed by a major label, Paramount, and so when we look at this, we're like, this is really subpar for a major label movie. But if we were to look at Clerks, which was, you know, done by, as we know, Kevin Smith, and it was produced independently and then picked up by Miramax and then distributed, and we understood that it was an independent film, we are a lot less critical because we're like, that's a really good, early attempt at making a movie for somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience in that area. Where when you're getting a presentation by a major studio, you are not nearly as forgiving. And so I think that's part of the problem, because this really is an independent film backed by a major studio, because Lou Adler had so much juice that he was able to make that happen. And I think subsequent, when we start to see the other movies, although the writing of the movies are going to go down a little bit as we watch the Cheech and Chong, basically catalog, the production value goes up because they start to invest more money into it, where this takes all the major gold of the 10 years of Cheech and Chong before this movie is made, but it just wasn't fleshed out well by somebody who's like, let me write the script to really make it make sense for you. It's a comedy sketch loosely linked together between each sketch into an entire movie. So I think it really should have been presented as an independent film, and we'd be far less critical. I think the major critics would have been far less critical. They'd be like, this is awesome for an independent film and a first time out kind of outing. But since it was done under the flag of Paramount, they're like, fuck, this is not up to the normal standards. Like, this is a piece of garbage. Plus, we're still talking the 1970s, where that drug counterculture is not accepted. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of that today, but pot as a whole is far more accepted. I mean, it's legal in a lot of states and things like that. So it's a far more accepted thing, where in 1970, it was still like, if you take pot, you're going to wreck your lives and you're going to die, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's that going on too.
I think that kind of, and I think what you're hitting on kind of probably gives away the mystery, if you're thinking of any, as far as to why this is in the book. And it's because it's like you said, it scratches that itch of representing a movie for people within the counterculture, so like they can't relate to the shit that's coming out because it doesn't speak to them.
Well,
this does.
I think I'm going to mirror what Rick just said, and this is actually the film that kind of starts that whole subgenre of laughing films, in the fact that it's a weed movie that, I'm sorry guys, it's a stoner comedy. This is the first one. This is the one that launches it. This is the mothership. I was trying to find my way around those words, but
you're right.
Yeah.
It paves the way. You're right. It paves the way for other films down the road that are pretty cool, like the Jay and Silent Bob
Half-Baked.
stuff. Half-Baked.
Dude, where's my car? Yeah, I mean, but those are much more polished movies. Like, when you watch them, like,
right.
let's use Harold Kumar, which is probably the gold standard. It's a very coherent. It's a gold standard of stoner movies, but it's a coherent from beginning to end.
Shit is the
that shit is on
movie,
point, man. Kumar. Even though I'm completely baked, it's on point. But yeah, you can watch it. It makes sense from beginning to end, and you laugh. Where this one is a bunch of skits loosely attached to each other.
Yeah.
Well, it's true, but let's be honest, Harold and Kumar have also a very similar type of thing going on with their movie, is that their plot events are strung together all through the theme of getting fucking White Castle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of crazy shit that happens, and it's under the theme. It's under a different theme, basically. But it's the same type of thing. Before we go on to another thing, I got to put out there, because you guys missed one, and it's Your Highness. That one is probably one of the coolest. I mean, you hear my name, Dungeon Master Elite. It is one of the coolest if you're into these type of genres, and you also like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, and all that stuff.
There's just two scenes in that movie that I just think are just wrong.
I couldn't imagine. I actually have no idea what you're talking about. I can't imagine.
They both center around mushrooms.
We're in a spirit world. You can't see us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly don't know what you're talking about.
All right, well, guys, I think that brings us to the end of Up in Smoke. Now that we've discussed this film, let's see how it rates on IMDb. So Up in Smoke has a rating of 6.9 stars out of 10. This 1978 Paramount release introduced the controversial radio comedians Richard Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong to the screens for the first of 6 major films, teaming the cameos together in several other films. This first teaming is the best teaming. The duo portrays stoners,
Drake,
who travel together on a road trip down to Tijuana on a mission to pick up a fresh new drug supply. However, they are being pursued by frantic cops all the way. A cult spoof classic and a film that began a new kind of wacky film comedy. All right.
You suck.
6.9 out of 10. Now that we know how it rates on IMDb, let's see how it holds up with our grading system. We all have that limited amount of time on this earth. Is it worth taking that time to watch this film? Tim, is it worth taking 1 hour and 26 minutes off your death clock to watch Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke?
I'm so happy we're here because I can't feel my forehead anymore. I have mixed feelings about this one. If you are not into the drug culture, if you are not into even just the drinking culture or even Cheech and Chong, this is probably not a movie for you. If you're going to watch this purely from a cinephile perspective, you're going to look at this and go, I don't understand why this is in the book. And that was my first reaction when I watched it. I was like, this is not a very good movie. And I don't understand why this would even be in the book. I watched this the second time and I tried to watch it from the perspective of a much younger Tim, from a much different perspective. And I can understand the appeal. And not only that, but Cheech and Chong, they were the first ones to do stoner comedy. They really were. I mean, a lot of comedians wouldn't touch this because they're like, everybody's doing this. And they weren't. These guys were really the first ones to really encompass this in their comedy. And they got the opportunity to make a film. And they're, anybody who's into this counterculture, into this, this weed world, if you will, marijuana world, this is something that when you watch it, you are going to be far more forgiving about it from a cinephile standpoint, and you're going to enjoy it for what it is. You're going to enjoy the jokes of it rather than the movie aspect of it. And in that, I think if that's where you're at, you're going to enjoy this. If you enjoy Cheech and Chong, you're going to enjoy this. If you are just a casual partaker of such said things, you're going to enjoy this. If you're going to just, again, do anything before you just watch this, whether it be drinking or partaking in such, wacky weed, things like that, you're going to enjoy this film because you're not going to look at it through that scope of fine cinema. So I think maybe you should watch it. But does it belong in the book? Yeah, I guess because it's the first one that really delves into this genre. Is it the greatest cinema you're ever going to watch? No, this is not, this is not some of the other films that are in this. It's not the greatest cinema you're ever going to watch. It just was the first one to meet this criteria. So it's really up in smoke. That's really what it is. It's really up in smoke as to whether you're going to like it or not. So again, your mileage may vary on how you want to watch this film. So it's hard for me to recommend it. It would be on a personal basis, like, hey, if I know the person, they're into this kind of stuff, yeah, you should watch this because you're really going to enjoy it. If you are a very straight-laced person who doesn't you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do any of that kind of stuff, you are not going to enjoy this, and you're going to think it's the dumbest shit ever. I mean, you might chuckle a couple of the jokes, but overall, you're going to be like, this is a very poorly written movie. So it really just depends on where you're at in life. I can't fully recommend it. I can't fully not recommend it at this point. It's just, it really depends on the person as to where you're at, as to whether you're going to enjoy this film or not. So there you go. I guess that's very wish-washy, but it's the best I can do.
You're dancing on the fence, man. You
Yeah.
can't like fall on one side or the other. So
It's
all
not
right.
meant for everybody. It's just not meant for everybody.
I will concur that. I will say, okay, we'll let that pass. It's a yes or no depending on your point of view. Only because I'm going to take a card out of our compatriot Joey's deck of cards here, and I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to say that yes, but I'm pulling the one watcher card. I say if you see one, sorry guys, you have to drink after I finish talking. If you see one stoner film, you really have seen them all. The only reason to watch this one is because it started that particular subset of comedy films. I mean, if we didn't have Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke, we wouldn't have movies like Half Baked or Dude, Where's My Car? Although this isn't my particular cup of tea, I can see the social relevance of the actions of Man and Pedro.
You suck.
So it's worth one watch. Then put it back in its VHS slipcase, bury it at the bottom of your closet with your stash. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Matt, no. Matt, drink 3 times.
I am. I will drink while Rick tells us what he thinks of his death clock.
I think that I agree with actually both of you at the exact same time, because I wrote a little bit of notes here for my final thoughts, and I'm just going to summarize here. I said that I do recommend that this is something that you should watch at least once. However, with a caveat of if you partake in herbal refreshments or have ever partaken in herbal refreshments. And I think that for our listeners, those who are, this is a middle-aged movie review podcast, I think for that generation, people are pretty well divided on cannabis, whether for or against. I don't really know a whole lot of people that are like, throughout their whole entire life, they were like, not, like kind of like in between. I guess there are some people in between. I guess for those people, I would say I would probably still watch this. That's me though, personally. I mean, I thought it was a really, really fun watch. I thought that it definitely kind of peters out a little bit towards the end with the battles of the bands, but it's totally geared towards the counterculture, weed smoker type of movie. And it is, in my opinion, I think it is, with regard to all of the different like weed smoking movies, this one is probably the mainstay. I mean, I know we've all talked about all these other ones and stuff, but this one really puts it out there more than any other ones. And the other ones, they don't really talk about the actual aspect. Like, they're not actually trying to be doing drugs in those ones for the most part, like the whole entire time. Most of those, they kind of touch about it a little bit, and they have more of a different, diverse set of events that happen and plots and stuff that we've already talked about being actually a little bit stronger. But this one, it's not as strong, but it's because it's mostly just geared around some nonsense, people trying to get weed and get high.
Nice. I'm glad to see that we're all on board, that it is, depending on your point of view, worth some kind of time and not also worth some kind of time on your death clock. So, all right, guys. Well, you know what that brings us to is feedback. And hey, you know what? We have some feedback, gentlemen. Listeners, we'd love to hear from you. So please leave us some feedback. You can email our show at manreviewpodcast@gmail.com. And have your email read right here on the show, or leave a comment on YouTube or Spotify or even Facebook, because that's where our feedback's coming from today, gentlemen, is from Facebook. And we'll be happy to discuss it here too. And on top of that, if you own a podcast and you talk about us, we will more than happily highlight the feedback that you give us from said podcast. First off, I want to point out our good friends Down Under. They just recently released an episode. They reviewed Forrest Gump.
Oh man, I love that movie, man.
Okay, so you gave us 2 mans, and there's my third one. So let's drink 3 times. They reviewed Forrest Gump, and of course that has the wonderful actress Robin Wright in that movie. And they brought up the time that we teamed up with them to talk about the wonderful Rob Reiner film.
Oh, The Princess Bride, dude.
Yep. Whitey, Gao, Dan on the land.
Dan on the land, I love you, man.
And Damo, thank you for shouting out our podcast. So, folks, if you love to hear what we're doing, also go check out Born to Watch. They are the Australian cousins, the foreign correspondents for Man Review Podcast. With that, they also shouted out a little bit of a Facebook post we had for our previous episode, Return of the Jedi, episode 98, where we talked about end of the best Star Wars trilogy, Return of the Jedi. Whitey said, looking forward to this one, gents. And then our good friend Andreas told us to, good luck, fellas. Fight of Vader and Luke in the second Death Star is amazing. And scored in the scene is one of the best pieces John Williams composed. Now, Andreas, I love you like a brother, buddy, but there are some other John Williams films that I think are John Williams scores that are up there, particularly one that goes da-dun, 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 da-dun. Rick,
you're familiar with that film, right?
So yes, folks, if you want to leave us some feedback, feel free to do so on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, or email the show at Man Review Podcast. So, gentlemen, now that we have truly looked at some feedback, Tim, what are you watching, man?
Crap. Let's see if I can get my thoughts put together here for this one. I finished Resident Alien season 4. So finally fired that up, watched that through. God, it's such a good series. Everybody should go out and watch Resident Alien. All 4 seasons. They're fantastic. I'm so disappointed that they canceled it after season 4, but I did go out and buy the comic book. So Matthew, as a comic book fan yourself, I know you'll be happy to know that I'm going to, take my eyes and ogle some words on page and read the comic.
Yay!
Because I can't get enough of that series. And then as far as movies go, I watched 28 Years Later. And as we all know, I've talked about, I'm not a big horror guy, but I love, vampire and zombie films. And this one's just disappointed. It's just, I'm sorry, but 28 years later, this is my review. Meh. There you go. That's the whole review. Meh. It's just, I don't know. I loved the, 28 Days Later. It was great. It was cool. It had, it basically took the zombie film and took it in a direction that had never been before. But 28 Years Later is boring as shit. It feels like it's just a springboard to get you to 28 Years Later. The Bone Collector or whatever movie. It was just, I don't know. It was not good. It was boring. I don't recommend it to anybody. Move along, nothing to see here kind of thing. So was not impressed whatsoever with that zombie film.
Wow, that's great.
Is it that I didn't like it? That you were walked away? That's great.
Sorry, I had to pee. I couldn't hold it any longer, man.
I just completely like the shit out of movie. And you're like, that's great.
Yes, me too, man. Actually, I had that fucking, you know that scene in Austin Powers where the dude is like taking a piss for like a fucking minute? That just happened.
And this is why we don't normally do a drinking games, ladies and gentlemen. Tim, I'm so sorry that 28 Days Later was terrible, but you know what? I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed Resident Evil. I'm sorry,
Resident Alien.
Holy crap.
Holy crap. What the hell's wrong with you?
Resident Alien. Alan Tudyk is hilarious. I love him in that movie or that TV series. Wow. Why are we doing this on Saturday nights again? Oh, yes, because we can do
Because
that.
we're drunk as shit. I have 3 rums of coke in, and God, if you guys say anything more, I cannot start a 4th one. I will die.
Don't worry. The game is now over.
Oh, thank God.
Yes. Rick, other than Resident Evil, because you're a game man. See? Game man. There. What are you watching?
So I haven't been watching a whole lot. I kind of started with the free time that I have. I'm kind of a little bit playing, a little bit like an hour or something here and there with my son. The game Elden Ring Night Reign. I have a number of videos of these on my YouTube channel, Dungeon Master Elite, but I haven't put any videos on that. I've just been having a little bit of fun with it. And as far as videos go that I've been watching, I started watching this one. It's relatively, to me, it's relatively new. I don't know how long this one's been out. The manga's been out for a while, but yeah, the anime came out in, let's see, 2022. It's called I'm Quitting Heroing. Next gig is at the Demon Queen's Castle. So obviously a really good title. I mean, definitely one that Matt would approve, I'm sure. but yeah, this one's pretty. It's just a fun little thing. This guy, he's like a super awesome hero or something, and he takes down the Demon Queen's army, and then all of humanity think he's like, must be like a monster if he's strong enough to deal, like pretty much solo the entire army. So he's like, you know what, fuck humans, I'm gonna go help out the Demon Queen. And the Demon Queen's like, get the fuck out of my face, because you just fucking defeated my entire army. And he somehow is able to convince the generals to pick him up, and then it's a story about how he basically takes the Demon Queen's army from shambles and builds it back up for a certain purpose. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty interesting. I wouldn't say it's like super duper in depth. I love watching really well made, well written, in depth characters as far as like anime goes. But this one I would not say is that. It is pretty good though.
Nice, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. There's something about certain animes that just kind of like key into, I guess, your fears, especially if they're inspired from different mangas. I know there's a, oh man, I can't think of the one guy, but
is it like real dark?
But
Berserk?
No, there's one. It's got a lot of like body horror kind of stuff to it, and if I was sober, I could tell you the name of the artist, but he's big in Takoban, more geared towards the teenage male viewpoint, and the fact that it's scary stuff. Well, I have been watching not a whole lot. I've been a little busy, got many irons in the fires, but I have been able to watch a series of YouTube videos. I know I briefly mentioned it last week when we were talking about Star Wars, but the thing that I kind of got keyed in on was the series called The Chit Show. That's CHIT, a series of funny videos about office life. Kind of like The Office, but they're shorter segments. Like you can watch the entire first season of The Chit Show for an hour and 20 minutes.
I've seen some of this. I've seen the little clips of this where there's a number of really funny Chit's little lines there. I've seen a number of these actually.
It is really funny. And of course, like I said, you can watch the entire first season all in one big run of like an hour and 20 minutes. Now they're coming out with the second season. There's a lot more cameos and guests, like Bob Odenkirk. He shows up in a couple of episodes, and so it's some pretty funny stuff. And it's just a guy who looks either somewhere around like 30 to 42, somewhere in that range, and he's always trying to work on the budget, and he doesn't work. This
dude looks like Ernie, bro.
Yeah, it's some funny stuff. I recommend it to anybody that just wants to shut their brain off for like an hour and a half and just watch like all 32 episodes of this TV series or this YouTube series. All right, well, I think that pretty much brings us to the end of this podcast. So, Tim, if you are able to, can you steer this green van all the way back to our garage?
Oh wow, man, far out, man. Like, thanks for listening to Middle Age Movies Podcast and our review of Up in Smoke. We hope you enjoyed it because, man, we slept in a ditch last night, man, and almost froze our balls off bringing it to you. If you did enjoy the review, though, please subscribe and leave a comment, share with your friends. Help us grow the man community so we continue to keep you from, wasting your precious death clock on, crappy movies, man.
Follow us on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Have a comment or suggestion, then email the show at manreviewpodcast@gmail.com. And hey, man, if you want to support our show, let us, get some cash to kind of help fuel this cheer truck we're trying to get across the country, across state lines, then go check out our Threadless shop and our cool merch at middleagemoviereviews.threadless.com, man. It's like in our show notes and stuff.
Oh, man, that sounds far out, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Stay cool and bye, everyone.
Man, you make a sweet Cheech Marin.
When the lights go down, the big screen gets so bright. I got my favorite beverage, snacks, and my chair feels right. Yeah. Color, silent, black and white. You never know what's on that screen tonight, but you're gonna find out on Middle-Aged Movie Reviews. Well, will I like it? Will I like it? 'Cause you know the death clock. No, it's not rewinding. No, will I like it? Will I like it? 'Cause you know the death clock. No, it's not rewinding. Oh, will I like it? Will I like it? 'Cause you know the death clock. No, it's not rewinding.